What's going on, team? It's your boy G, and today we are going to be reviewing The Woman King. First question going into this movie was, what's going to be the thing that keeps me invested in this movie once the action is over? Because if you've seen the trailer, you know, man, this is an action-packed movie, and the movie itself did not disappoint. The trailer to movie ratio was basically perfect. It was filmed beautifully and had strong character development and an amazing story. So without further ado, man, let's get into this character breakdown because this movie went crazy. We gotta start off with the star of the show, Viola Davis, who played Naniska, and it was just so dope to see her because she had this presence that, you know, demanded respect, but also had these vulnerable moments throughout the movie, whether it was with Nawe, who we'll talk about in a little bit, or Amenza, one of her best friends. Those conversations left you in awe because she's an amazing leader and she exudes strength, but she done been through so much, you know what I'm saying? You can just feel that oozing out the film. So Viola Davis killed it as usual. Next, I want to talk about Nawe, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but Thuso Mbedu. I don't know how you say it, but she was our hero's journey character, and we got to see her on a pretty much level playing field as Viola Davis or Naniska in this film. Nawe was the character that rooted you to the story. She was the person we was rooting for the whole entire time, and was the rebel type character that we saw grow to become a warrior, and had an amazing plot twist at the end that, looking back at the trailer versus the movie itself, it was easier to portray in the trailer than like in the movie. Like, I kind of forgot that because of the way they set up the movie. So it was a dope reveal, and just the way they did it too, I was just like, oh, that is crazy work right there. So love Nawe. Next, we got to talk about Izogi, probably my favorite character in the entire movie, just because I just loved everything about her, her energy and her just strive to be great. You know what I'm saying? She definitely gave off that big sister vibe. She gave us comedic relief, and she was somebody we was also rooting for throughout the movie. And like, just her skill in general, she was just going crazy. Like, her resilience throughout the movie and all the things that she went through just had me geeked to see her every time she was on screen. So definitely one of my favorite characters, and she was basically the role model for Nawe, who was one of the main protagonists in this film, and that drive to be great was passed down to her. It really set up for a very critical moment in this movie. If she wasn't as involved in the story, we don't get the moments that we got in this film specifically. So I love Izogi. She was played by Lashana Lynch. It was just a dope character to see on screen. But next up, we got to talk about the bad guy, or at least one of the main bad guys, and that was Oba Ade. Now, he was played by Jayme Lawson, and honestly, like, he was just a standard bad guy. Now, he was very impactful in Naniska's past, which made his character seem a lot bigger than like his actual actions in the movie, versus if he was just some random general that was tasked to take everybody out. So that made his character that much more easy for us as viewers to not necessarily get behind him by any means, but pray on his downfall, because him and Naniska had some very dope moments in their multiple fights throughout this movie, and that payoff, you know what I'm saying, when she finally beat him, definitely worth it. So as a main antagonist, he was solid, but this movie wasn't about the bad guys, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like they did just enough to cover their bases when it comes to raising the stakes and making moments matter. So that's enough for him. Last person I wanted to talk about in the character breakdown is definitely King Gezu, who was played by Boyega, and he played the part of like a young king perfectly, honestly. Like, he didn't have the most screen time. He did have his moments where, you know, we got to see what he was as a leader, but it was cool to see that he was like not only just a strong leader in general, like, and demanded respect, but was open to hearing other perspectives and ideas that was ultimately progressive and made the resolution to this movie better, because obviously the name of the movie is The Woman King, so eventually Naniska is going to be the Woman King, right? But the way they set it up in the movie, by the time we got to the end of it, it didn't feel like this was bound to happen. Like, it felt earned, and then it felt like they really accomplished something. So John Boyega did his thing again, and of course, like, bruh, the drip was immaculate throughout this movie with all the characters, but King Gezu specifically, bruh, like, they was going crazy for that man. So that's all I got for the character specific, man. Let's get into the plot. All right, so as I was saying before, like this movie was pretty simple in concept. Setting aside, I think this movie was good just because they brought a life to it in a way that I don't think I've seen done before in this specific context, because this movie was about the slave trade, right? And no, this did not end slavery, but this was one of the moments that took their power back, drove the slave traders out. And the way they set it up, they didn't paint themselves as just like pure perfect people. You know what I'm saying? Like they show their part in the whole slave trade where, you know, they weren't giving up people. Most of the time it was from like rival villages, or in this case, captives from Oba's group, who was like their rivals throughout this time, who had like a really big army that we never really got to go to their whole village and stuff like that. But they posed the biggest threat because at this point, all the different wars and battles, it was kill or be killed and then sold off type beat. So the way they was able to bring those moments to life without making it too traumatic, doing it in such a tasteful way, it led to a beautiful story. It was definitely based in elements of trauma, but led to triumph at multiple levels. Now, the pacing for the movie was definitely slow at times, mainly in the love interest aspect to me, just because it felt more like they got to cover their bases in telling the whole story as far as to like multiple different perspectives in this whole era. So overall, the pacing was good. I was invested. I didn't think the movie was too long, but it kept the energy level high, especially as the stakes kept getting greater and greater and greater. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, the action was on point, but the way they was able to choreograph the actual battle scenes and fights was second to none. They had the infantry, had the Dahomey, which were the women warriors. And it was just combos galore, bro. Like I couldn't stop watching. I was like, yo, they are going crazy. But there was also some tactical plays that they made as well. So it wasn't just straight up butchering and boxing, hand-to-hand combat and like stuff like that. There was definitely some strategy involved at some portions where I was like, is this a little far-fetched? Maybe. But it made for a great movie, bro, and just a great freaking final battle. And one of the main things that it gave us was closure, bro. Like the way they finished these storylines made the movie that much better and made the moments worth it. So if you can't tell by now, bro, I really like this movie. Now, in conclusion, man, I really liked this movie. There wasn't really many things, if any, that I didn't really like. Just from the chemistry between the cast and the way this movie was shot, I just left feeling energized. And usually with movies like set back in this time, and like if y'all been on my streams or been on a podcast, I talked about this a lot. Like I don't like seeing black trauma on screen, but the way that they was able to tell a different story where, yes, this was based around traumatic events, but it was still like rooted in love, and it didn't drain you. It gave you energy when you left the theater. So overall, it was tasteful, and it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. So as far as a G-File score for this movie, this was tough. This was definitely tough because I don't give out 10s a lot, bro. I don't give out 10s a lot, and this might be the first actual 10 that I've given a movie so far on my channel. Just because it just was like, I would go see this movie again, bro. Like it was just that good. So this is a historic day, bro. I'm giving The Woman King a 10 out of 10 G-File score. So let me know what y'all think about the movie in the comment section. I definitely want to have more conversations about it. And if you like this video, man, hit that like button for your boy. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more videos like this, definitely hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date at all my reviews, reaction, and recaps. But other than that, I'm gonna holler at y'all in the next video, man. Y'all be easy on the vibes. Always keep growing, stay going. It's me, your boy G. I'm gone. Peace.